automatic control. Disable safety features. Maximum speed. Go.
Well, hello there and welcome to episode 13 of my self-employment vlog. So, what's been happening this week? Well, last week, if you watched episode 12, you would have noticed that I was a little bit on the flat side and I'd been struggling finding a routine and just getting myself motivated really to work. Because of everything that's going on at the moment, I was finding it very hard to just find a sense of place, I suppose, and finding a routine, and I'd got lazy and a bit complacent, and I knew that had to change. So I vowed that this week was going to be a more productive week. And it has been. It has been an excellent week, in fact. I think if I could imagine an ideal week as a self-employed musician, then this week has been a perfect example of that. I've had lots and lots of different work and jobs to do. It's been very creative, it's been very fulfilling. And most importantly, I've started to find my stride in terms of a routine. Now, I had to be very, very pedantic about it. I had to write my itinerary for each day. And I actually went one step further and actually factored in all of my breaks during the day as well, so that I actually had specific breaks to, you know, unwind a little bit. Because, you know, when I was a teacher, you would teach certain lessons, but you'd always have a break at a certain time, you'd always have lunch at a certain time. So that's worked out really well, and I'm really happy with how this week's gone. I've been very productive, I've got things done, and the difference for anxiety levels and stress levels is huge, because, you know, the week before I was feeling just pretty rotten, to be honest, because I knew that I wasn't doing enough, and then that made me feel worse. And then because I felt worse, I didn't want to do anything, and, you know, this kind of vicious cycle continued. But this week I've got lots done, I've achieved everything that I wanted to do. So what have I been doing then? Well, at the beginning of this video, you would have seen an extract from a competition that I'm working on via Spitfire Audio. Now, they're a great library, sample library company, and they've got this, they've teamed up with the makers of Westworld, and they've released for composers a scene from season 3 to score. And they're going to then, I guess, decide which one is the best. Competition will be fierce, and the standard is very high already, because I've heard some of the entrants, because you upload your entrants onto your YouTube channel, so everyone can kind of hear it beforehand. Now, the way I'm looking at it though is that, you know, if I don't win, it's been very good experience in terms of scoring and working to picture, because that's something that I've always wanted to do, but I've not had much experience doing. So it's been really good to be able to work on that, and I've really enjoyed doing that. I've also been doing some freelance work. I've been composing a piece for a lyre instrument, and that's been nice. You know, I've had a bit of a challenge, something a little bit different, something that I wouldn't ordinarily do. I've also been working on someone else's dance track. They were looking for some piano chords and a few other little fills and things to add into their track. So they sent me over a drum, bass and guitar line, and then I added in the kind of keyboard section. So that was nice, some, you know, completely different style, so that was really good. I've continued my piano teaching, which is great. That's all going very, very well indeed. It's going to be strange actually going back to normal face-to-face lessons. Actually, it's going to take a bit of adjusting to when that time comes. Now, obviously, today is Friday, and on Sunday, so in a couple of days, Boris Johnson will be outlining a little bit about what's going to happen with regard to restrictions, you know, going forward. Now, I don't know what's going to happen, but I've started to just kind of dust off some of my busking material and starting to just practice a little bit, because if the opportunity arises that I can go out and play, like, you know, not in big cities obviously, but like in the high street, I figure that if people are starting to go to the shops more, and because of the way that the shops have to, you know, try to have social distancing, there may be more people who are kind of outside the shop queuing, and I figured that might be a good incentive to start playing some music, with the aim that, you know, people hopefully will enjoy it and it will make their queuing a little bit more bearable, and then they may be willing to sort of donate a few pennies here and there, which would really help me, because obviously, you know, I'm trying hard to keep my business going at the moment in this tricky time. So I've started to kind of plan ahead now in terms of the possibility of going out busking as soon as So that's great. I think the sooner I can do that, the better. So that's it really. It's been a much better week. I feel a lot more happier. I feel a lot more settled. I feel like I've got a routine. I've got other things on the horizon, you know, and a few competitions that I'm entering as well. And I think the great thing about it is when I was a teacher, these things would come up and I just wouldn't have the time to really invest in them because, you know, teaching is a demanding profession. So now that I'm not a teacher and these things come up, these opportunities come up and I can grab them with both hands. So it's great. It's so liberating. You know, sometimes I think about teaching and sometimes I feel like I miss it, or you know, and then I realise that I don't. But having said that, I am going to do possibly next week in episode 14. I thought it might be quite nice to share my experiences as a teacher, because I've taught now for 7 years in my school that I've just left, and I wanted to maybe just go through some of the highlights and just some of the experiences I had during that time, because you know, I don't want to kind of completely write off that period because it was a really big important part of my life. So I'm going to probably do that next episode. I'm going to say next lesson then, because I was a proper teacher. So yeah, I think that might be quite nice just to share with people who perhaps, you know, aren't in the profession, a little bit of a sneak peek as to what it's like actually being a music teacher and some of the fun I've had along the way. So anyway, that's it for episode 13. Thank you very much for checking by. Please do like and subscribe. I'll see you next Friday for episode 14. Look after yourselves, enjoy the sunshine, and take care. Bye.